بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. The next discussion in the book Divine Justice is about ikhlas, sincerity, as a condition for acceptance of deeds. Okay? Ikhlas shart qabul a'mal. Sincerity as a condition for acceptance of our deeds. So the question is, what role faith or iman can play in acceptance of deeds? As you remember, we said there are some people who are too liberal. And they say, for God doesn't make any difference who is doing what, who is doing. What is important? The action. Any person who is building a hospital is good. Whether it's Mu'min, Kafir, Sunni, Shia, whatever is the intention, because everyone is equal for him. So we want to discuss this issue. It's a very important issue. Those who attended our akhlaq lectures in the first year, you remember we had few sessions on niyyah, on intention. We said, according to some moral philosophers, only the results are important. According to Kant, who developed the ontological view, intention is also very important. And then we talked about Islamic view, and we said in Islamic view, action is important, and also intention is very important. So if you attended those lectures, and remember, it's very similar to what Ayatollah Mutahari has here. He says basically what we have in Islamic ethics, and we discussed this in Ilm Akhlaq and Usul al-Fiqh also, is that there are two aspects to what we do. One is the action itself, the physics of the action. And the second is the relation between action and the agent. If you remember, we said we have husn fi'li and husn fa'ili. Or it can be qubh fi'li and qubh fa'il. Sometimes two people make the same thing. For example, two people make masjid, make hospital, make a school. Two people feed hungry people, give housing to homeless people. Two people, they do the same. Okay? In people's opinion, in our worldly outlook, we compare people to each other based on the physics of action. For example, say this person has done this much, that person has done more, and we appreciate and give relative significance to what they have done based on the physics of action. But Islamically, you can not only look at the action. It's very important to look at the agent. Who has done this and why he has done this? For example, if you remember, we talked there must be attention, intention, and sincerity. If someone has no attention, is drunk, and sees there is someone who is hungry, he needs 5 pounds, he's drunk, gives him 50 pounds. Is there value in this? He doesn't understand what he's doing. Maybe if he was not drunk, he was not giving this money. Yeah? Or if someone is sleepy and doesn't really understand, just wants to continue his sleep, so someone says, I need, money, and says, take this and go, And sometimes happens. So, we cannot say, just based on what has been done, whether this action is good or bad or how good it is. How much that agent is aware and conscious is very important. Then, what is his intention? It's very important. Is he doing this sincerely? Is he doing this for the sake of Allah? Or he's doing to show off? Ayatollah Mutahari mentions the story of Bohlul. Bohlul saw some people are making a masjid. He said, why are you making this masjid? He said, why you ask this question? Of course we are making masjid for the sake of Allah. So then he made a stone, a plaque with his name, Masjid Bohlul, and said someone to fix it on the entrance, the gate of the masjid. And next day, those people came to continue the work. They saw it, Masjid Bohlul. They were very angry and said, why you did this? This is our masjid. It should be with our name, not your name. And he said, I thought you are doing this for the sake of Allah. Name is not important for you. So, sometimes people, if they know that their name is not going to be there, they don't have any motivation. Yeah, their name must be there so that they have motivation. Yes.
In our communities, we have one funny problem. For example, if you want to raise money for the masjid or Hussainiya, even I've heard from one of the Maulana as well that he said that someone to inspire the people stand up from the public and say, I'm giving 1,000 pounds, for example.
Yeah.
So other people get inspired. So now here he's advertising, but in the back he is doing, inspiring other people as well. So what can we say about these kind of actions? Are legal, on Sharia basis, are these okay? Or
there are, inshallah I will talk about, there are two things. One is that we have a need that we want to meet. Suppose there are people who are starving, they are dying. It's cold winter, there are people who have no home. So we have to find money to feed these people or to give them shelter. So our main target is to meet those needs. So here, maybe it's okay to do this kind of, actions to persuade people. But Islamically, we should be also concerned about people's spiritual upliftment. So I should not only think of people giving money for the cause, I should also think that in this way these people should be able to purify themselves. So I have to consider this side as well. Therefore, for example, I should say, please do it for the sake of Allah. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can later give me confidentially, for example, money or your check, whatever, because this side is also very important. So we have two types of considerations. One is consideration about the action, whether that action is good or bad based on the outcomes. Building a hospital is good. Building a school, building bridge, building masjid, helping people with their education. The action is good. But the other side is the agent. Why he is doing this. What he wants to gain from this. So Ayatollah Mutahari says, two kind of line are here. One line that is going through society, history, how history is going to judge about this. It's mostly about the action. But the other line is the line which is vertical. Is this person with this action going to rise and ascend? Or he's going to, na'uzu billah, even go lower? It's very important. He mentions example of wife of Harun al-Rashid, Zubaydah. She made in Mecca some kind of project, made a kind of river or a spring of water for people, for Hujjaj. Of course, this is something good, but we don't know whether this is actually helping her in her spiritual journey or not. Because if she has done this with people's money, not with her own money, with the money of the public treasure, then she doesn't have that much role. First of all, we should see whether she had the right to do so. Secondly, even if she had right, it's not her money. He says that some people said they saw Zubaydah in dream, asking her, what did Allah do with this river that you made in Mecca? And she said, Allah gave all the reward to the owners of the money. Those people who really owned that money, Allah gave them the reward. We don't know, Allah knows. So, there is a worldly aspect, there is a malakuti aspect. The worldly aspect is what we see. There's a construction, there is food, there is home, there is dress, and what is going to do in the life of people. But there is a spiritual, malakuti aspect, and that is that side of the action which is facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't want to say that only this part is important. You should do something with good intention, but also something which is good. Yeah? You cannot destroy life of people and say my intention is sincere. If you are not a qualified doctor, you cannot give prescription to people and say, I want to help them. God knows that I am just trying to help them. You are not qualified. Please don't help people. Yeah? So, if you remember in Akhlaq lectures, we said in Islam, amal salih is not just good amal. It's not good action. Amal saleh, righteous deed, is when the action is good and the agent is also doing this for good reason. Okay? Ayatollah Mutahari refers to second verse of Surah Al-Mulk. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah is the one who created the death and life. Even death is a creation, because death is a stage of our life. It's a transition, yeah? So death is not end of life. Death by itself is a creation. He is the one who created death and life to test you, to examine you. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Which of you is better in his actions or her actions? It doesn't say أَكْثَرُ عَمَلًا. It says أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Which one is better? Better in action. So sincerity of the agent, knowledge of the agent is very important. Not just the action. Action is important. The agent is also very important. If you want good action, you should have both of them. Yes.
Sheikh, about this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ.
Yeah.
First, He created the death, but the al-amal, the action in the life. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned death first?
There can be different reasons, because one reason is this: because we were first dead, then we were created, then we die. Amatakum fa-ahyakum. You know, we have two deaths. Rabbana amattana thnatayn wa ahyaytana thnatayn. So we were dead, then alive, then we die, then we again become alive. So maut, life, maut, life. This is one reason. Another reason can be that.
Which one first maut for us, for example?
So before we were born into this world, we were dead. You know, like two sajda, also we have hadith that two sajda refers to this. Minha khalaqnakum wa fiha nu'idukum. Yeah, so first we were soil, means we were dead. Then we were resurrected, we were given life, then we go back, and then we will be revived. So there is death, life, death, life. Another reason can be that for testing us, attention to death is more important than life. If you want to really understand the test, you have to know that there is an end. You know? So, for example, when you go to a school, you must know there is exam at the end of the year. Then you think about how much time you have. But you must know first that you don't have unlimited time. Time is limited. Opportunities are limited. Or when there's a game, you know that you should know. The first thing that you have to know about the game is there is a time limit. Otherwise, people become lazy. You know, they say, well, we can't play forever. So maybe this is another reason. Ayatollah Mutahari says the importance of our thought and intention is not less than the importance of the action. And then he says, if you look at the Quran and the way the Quran describes the relation between action and agent, he says it's like the relation of the spirit and body. you can have a very complete human body without life. Suppose someone who has had no accident, no injury, no cancer, body is fine. Just had, for example, heart attack, body is fine, but has no soul, no life, no activity, no direction. So, if there is just good action, physics of action, but no good intention, it's a body without soul. Okay? Or it can be a body with vicious soul. Sometimes there is satanic intention. Yeah? There's a big difference. Suppose someone is helping to show off and get vote of people, for example. Yeah? Or is, for example, saying good things as a speaker so that people think he is a very good person. Okay? He wants to deceive people. So there can be either no soul or it's a vicious soul.
Just one question.
Pardon?
One question. For example, when we talk about intention, obviously for a person who's faithful, whatever he or she is doing, they're doing qurbatan ilallah.
They're doing qurbatan ilallah?
Qurbatan ilallah. So that's a good intention. But on the other hand, if a person is a non-Muslim, he's got a good intention to give benefit to human being.
Yeah.
So we cannot say this intention is a bad intention.
Yeah, we come to that. Thank you. So, intention is very important. If you look at our hadith, which is in the Farsi version here in page 276. For example, we have this hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is mutawatir. Sunni Shia have narrated this hadith in many, many different chains of narration. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. إنما is for hasr. Actions are only judged or evaluated based on the intentions. It means that you cannot understand the value of action without knowing the intention. Therefore, we cannot many times judge. Allah knows the intention of people. Yeah? Sometimes we may get an idea. There are people that we are sure about their sincerity or lack of sincerity. But many times we don't know really. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. For every person, there is what he or she intends. What will be registered in your record of deeds is your intention. For example, if someone has made hijrah, you remember we had this hadith. من كانت هجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو امرأة يتزوجها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. If someone migrates for the sake of marrying someone, so he has gone from Mecca to Medina, for example, but not for the sake of being with the Prophet. He wanted to marry someone, or he wanted to make a business, a trade. So his hijrah is towards that object. But من كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله. But if his intention was really for the sake of Allah and the Prophet and religion, okay? So even people who are, for example, in Western countries, believe, mu'mineen who have come from other countries here. Some of them might be muhajir ilallah. They have come here for the sake of Allah because they were not able to practice, for example, their faith there. They had no freedom, or they want to do something good here. Anyway, but some people maybe have come here just for the sake of dunya. Yeah? Or maybe there are cases in the court against them. They have run away and come. There are people who come here because they have, fraud cases. So you cannot say based on the location who is muhajir. It's also based on their intention and background and sincerity. In another hadith, لا عمل إلا بنية. There is no action except means there is no action means there is no value in action except with intention. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, make your actions for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of people. Because whatever is for the sake of Allah is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever is for the sake of people will not rise, will not ascend towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran also says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. So, niyyah is very, very important. As you remember in those lectures on akhlaq, we also said, based on knowledge of the person, based on the iman and taqwa of the person, there can be different ranks. So it's not that you say either person is sincere or not, only one value fixed to it. No. The same thing, even if it is done sincerely, based on other merits, can be different. For example, two people are fasting sincerely, not to show off. But one is jahil, one is alim. Which one is better? Ma'rifah, taqwa. Two people are fasting for the sake of Allah, but one is muttaqi, doesn't commit any sin, does all the wajibat. The other person only fasts, but also after iftar goes and drinks alcohol. There are people, who fast, but then, unfortunately. So, you cannot say even sincerity is enough. Therefore, we say husn fa'ili and husn fi'li. Everything about the agent, part of it is the intention, part of it is knowledge, part of it is iman, part of it is taqwa, other virtues. Even sincerity has different levels. Like gold. When you buy gold, the purity can have different degrees. Yeah? In Farsi we say ayar. What is the percentage of gold in this? That's different. So even sincerity is not always. Sometimes people think that the action has to be very big so that it's really valuable. Ayatollah Mutahari says, some people, when they hear about this ayah, الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. This ayah was revealed when Imam Ali gave his ring when he was in ruku. They say this ring was very expensive. Its value was equal to the kharaj of Sham. They don't understand. They think ayah was revealed because it was very expensive. But he says that ring was not that expensive. What was special was the sincerity of the giver. He says if you say this about this ring, what do you say about إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ? So he says, were, for example, pieces of gold put in those breads? Do you think the value is because of the physics of the action? No, it's because of the sincerity. So even giving one piece of bread, if it is done with sincerity, can be very important. If you give millions of dollars without sincerity, of course, Shaitan also can sometimes play with you. When you want to give sadaqah, says your intention might not be sincere. Don't give it. No, you must give it, but try to make it also sincere. Don't let Shaitan stop you from giving because you are not sure about your niyyah. You understand? This is one of the tricks of Shaitan. Yes.
In the Quran, it says, لَيْسَ الْإِنسَانَ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى.
Yes.
But it doesn't say anything about niyyah, or does it say somewhere in the Quran? As far as I remember, I can't see anything about the niyyah, that the people will be judged according to the niyyah. Obviously, it's in the hadith. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that human being, what action a human being does, he will get that. What does that mean here?
So, whatever you do and you make efforts for doing is content.
Okay.
So, this is one factor. Your efforts, not what you have done only. Because maybe two people, both of them have done the same thing, but one of them without any efforts. For example, two people have given 10 pounds. One of them had only 10 pounds and gave it. One of them has thousands of pounds and there was 10 pounds, just one note, says, let me get rid of this. I have to have only 50 pounds. So one has only 10 pounds, one wants to get rid of this. Are they the same? No. So efforts are important, but efforts and niyyah come very much close to each other. So niyyah also is important. Ayatollah Mutahari says, it is true in a sense that for God does not make that much difference what is the intention of the person. For God as God. But for this person himself or herself, the intention is very important, and then the relation that he's going to have with God becomes different. So it's not that our good actions or sincere actions or actions which are not sincere are changing God or affecting God, benefiting or harming God. Yeah? لا تضره معصية من عصاه لا تنفعه طاعة من أطاع. Our obedience or disobedience would not make any change to him, but it would make change to us and to our relation with him. He says, now we are moving to the question about non-Muslims. If the agent is doing something for the sake of God, this action can rise. And then he make reference to this ayah. إِلَيْهِ يَصْعَدُ الْكَلَمُ الطَّيِّبُ وَالْعَمَلُ الصَّالِحُ يَرْفَعُهُ. Al-Kalam al-Tayyib means aqidah. Proper aqidah, yas'ad, ascends, goes high towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Farsi version is page 280. Surah Fatir, verse 10. Al-Kalam al-Tayyib, it's interpreted as aqa'id. Proper thoughts, proper ideas, proper beliefs go higher towards Allah. They rise, they ascend. But al-amalu salih yarfa'uhu. there are two interpretations. One is Kalamut Tayyib elevates Amal Saleh. The other is Amal Saleh elevates Kalamut Tayyib. And I think this one is better. This is very important ayah. What is rising is Aqidah. What gives lift to Aqidah is Amal Saleh. We are more formed by our Aqidah, by our thoughts, by our intentions. You know, if you want to understand what type of person someone is, you can judge based on the actions. But if you can get into his heart and see whether he is mu'min or kafir or munafiq, or whether he's sincere or not, you can understand him better. So actions are good indicators, but better than actions, thoughts and ideas and intentions. Therefore, we are more shaped and formed by our ideas and thoughts than our actions. Mawlavi says, ای برادر تو همه خود اندیشه. You are اندیشه, you are thought, you are ideas, you are belief. But then righteous deeds are important. Because with righteous deeds, you can rise. Some years ago, I was thinking about this ayah and this example came to my mind. Suppose you go to a lift. Okay? You want to go to the top floor. So who is rising? You. But what gives you lift? This lift. So, Amal Saleh gives you lift, but Amal Saleh is not part of you unless it becomes a permanent quality. Okay? So, you as a generous person rise, but generous actions give you rise. Do you understand the difference? So actions are not part of you unless they become a quality, like generosity. So they help, but they are not part of you unless they become permanent quality. Okay?
Sorry, so does that mean, so if we are separating here the Aqidah and Amal Saleh, so we say, so you have Aqidah, Amal Saleh takes this Aqidah off. So if you don't have Amal Saleh, you can still have Aqidah. But isn't one of the conditions of a right and true Aqidah and Iman to do
so if you don't have Amal Saleh, you are stuck. You need Salat, you need Zakat, you need... Pardon?
You don't even have a sound and sincere Aqidah and faith.
You don't have Aqidah and you don't have Amal Saleh. So why you don't go by a staircase? Don't use the lift.
So what I'm saying is that if the person is not acting, he doesn't have any Amal Saleh, then his Aqidah even lacks. Because if he had true Aqidah, then he would have...
If there is proper thoughts, then brings good action. Yeah? It's impossible to have proper Aqidah, proper understanding, and you don't do Amal Saleh. It brings good action. Yes?
Can we say that one of the goals of doing good deeds is that we want to do it habitually so that it becomes a quality rather than a separate reaction?
So, doing good things, good actions is very important, but better than doing good actions is when you manage to develop a quality which is corresponding to that action. So, to give money to people is very good, but more important is to become generous. If you are generous, then it brings thousands of generous acts. But if you have just generous acts, okay, and not generosity, it's not that high. So it's important to become generous. So, if you have proper aqidah, if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you can rise with your actions. But suppose there is someone who is not mu'min, who doesn't believe in God, and still he is sincere. It's not that he's showing off. No, he's sincere. It's possible. Someone is atheist, but really wants to help people. We say even this is appreciated. Unlike what some people have said, that if there is no niyyah taqarrub ila Allah, it's useless. We say no, it's not useless. Yes, this person cannot rise too much, cannot get into heaven, but still it's appreciated. من يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره. If you have two kafir, one is only spending on himself, one is giving to other people. Not to show off, just loves to share with people. He's generous. Hatam Ta'i was a mushrik, but he was generous. It's appreciated. So his life in dunya can be blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can enjoy his life in dunya more. He can have reputation, he can have money, he can have good children, he can have respect, or his azab can be reduced, or even his azab can be stopped altogether. Yeah? So it's very effective, but to be able to rise towards Allah and therefore have access to heaven, because heaven is near Allah. So you cannot deny Allah and go to heaven. But you can be saved from punishment. You can get lots of benefits. Therefore, we believe that moral action, an action which is morally good, is when the action leads to good results and there is sincere intention. Even if the intention is not qurbatan ilallah, still it's a moral action. But if it is qurbatan ilallah, it has more value. It can qualify you to go to heaven. So, sincere and good actions of any person are appreciated. Okay? But do these actions qualify them to go to heaven? That's another issue. Yes.
There's one of the story for a young man. He was non-Muslim and he was caught among the war prisoners. And he came before the Holy Prophet, and there were three people. So two of them got sentenced to death, and the Holy Prophet said they leave the third one because he's got few qualities which Allah likes.
Yes.
So here, how we later he become Muslim, that is a different thing.
Yes.
But those 5 qualities which he had.
Husnul khul ghayra shaja'a. He had 3 qualities.
The truthfulness. So 5 of them, or 3 or 5. Now here, these qualities, now the Holy Prophet left.
These are virtues, yes?
So as you said, that we can use this example.
Yes. Actually, some people say, and there is ground for that, but I am not decided. I'm not very sure. But some people say, some ulama, that anyone who has even one virtue, even one good quality, he will not go to hell. So if someone is really, really generous, he would not go to hell. Some ulama have said. I am not sure about this. But I can appreciate that if anyone has any quality which is good or any action which is good, he would not be treated the same as someone who lacks this good quality or lacks this good action. It's not possible to say they are equal, it's useless. No. If you remember, we had detailed discussion about this. For example, about mothers. We said when Islam gives so much respect and honor for mothers, is it for mothers who are mu'min only? Or even a mother who is kafir has value? Just because Allah appreciates the sacrifice that a mother, any mother does. Yeah? Of course, if a mother does it for the sake of Allah with sincerity, of intention of qurba ila Allah, it's better. But even if a mother does this naturally because she loves her children, it's appreciated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also we had a discussion, if you remember, we said there are also cases, so we say first you do it with good intention, then we say it's higher if you do it seeking nearness to Allah. But there can be also a stage which is very high, and that is when you don't see any value for your actions, so you can seek nearness to God. So there are people who are so close to God that they don't do ghast qurbah because they don't see themselves and their actions. You understand? No. For example, if we give sadaqah, we say qurbatan ila Allah, means I seek nearness to God. Yeah? When we pray, we say qurbatan ila Allah. When we fast, we say qurbatan ila Allah. But there are people who are so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they give whatever they have without even thinking about they are doing something that they should do qurbat ila Allah. Their existence is for Allah. When your existence is for Allah, when you are abd, then you say, who am I to make niyyah of qurba ila Allah? You understand? You say, it's not my money, it's Allah's money I am giving.
That's one of the things which was Unwan Basri was told by Imam Sadiq al-Islam, that you don't have the milkiyah.
Yes. يرى المال مال الله يضعه حيث يشاء. Al-Abd says this money is for Allah. So there can be a high stage. So if a non-believer does something which is good, has husn fi'li, but has no intention of deceiving people, showing off, there is sincerity, it's appreciated. Allah loves this action. We don't say it's equal to the action of a believer who is seeking nearness to Allah. We don't say it's equal, but we say this is valuable, it's appreciated, and إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ عَمَلًا would include this as well. Allah is not going to waste the action of any person. He's not going to waste the reward of any person who does something good. Yes?
Two questions. The first one, so you mentioned this last week as well, so someone who obviously does good, his actions is going to be appreciated, but it's not going to qualify him unless he believes, to go to heaven. But maybe punishment is removed from him.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't go to heaven and it's not being punished, so where is he? That's the first question. Secondly, so someone does good, but they're in a remote island, for example, religion or faith hasn't reached them. So he hasn't, he doesn't believe in anything, but he does good. And the reason he doesn't believe is because he hasn't reached them. So
Yeah.
does that person also gets kind of excluded from going to paradise?
So these are excused. These are excuse people. They are not going to hell. But if they don't believe in God and the hereafter, they are not also going to heaven. They would be in between.
What's in between?
One meaning of A'raf is this: a place between hell and heaven. So they are not in heaven, but they are not also punished.
Can I ask a question, please?
Maybe it's much better than dunya. Yes.
I've read in this book that there are people who have done good, non-believers. They would have a mud house. They're protected from the heat of hell, and they'll be fed by God. Now, will that house be in hell, or where will it be? Because we're protected from the heat of hell. That's what this book, when I was going through it, I read it. Can you explain that? Please?
Sorry,
Is it in
what's the
hell,
question?
house? Mud house. It's a mud house.
So they are not going to be
They're
suffering. They are not
non-believers.
going to be punished.
They're not being punished.
Yes,
And they'll be fed by God as well.
of course, because
And,
you cannot
how will they
survive
protect
without
from the
risk.
heat of the fire? So will this house be in hell, protected by the heat of the fire?
No, it's not in hell. They don't go to hell.
I see.
They don't go to hell.
I see. So this house is
It can be a
better
place
than hell.
which is like dunya.
I see.
This dunya is not hell, it's not also heaven.
I see.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So they are in their understanding limited to material things. Therefore, they will also remain in a material world. They will not go to heaven, but they will also still be able to have a pain-free life. Because heaven is not just pain-free. Heaven is more than pain-free. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
how do we explain أنما يتقبل الله من المتقين then, if we say they're going to be appreciated, even if they don't have taqwa or iman?
So, acceptance and taqwa have different levels. If you are sincere, this is one level of taqwa, and its acceptance is leading to worldly ajr, or not being punished. If you have taqwa in the sense of believing and doing wajibat and refraining from haram, then your acceptance means you will get reward of akhirah. So, depends.
So did you say that
Many of these ayat or ahadith that seem to suggest that you have to be only mu'min, actually this is for people who have iman but no taqwa. Would not apply to someone who has sincerity but has not reached the level of iman. This would not contradict with some kind of appreciation for what they do. Yes.
Suppose a non-believer who is sincere,
Yes. Believer is sincere.
but he acts all the deeds which is forbidden. And
Pardon?
a believer who follows all the deeds which has been told him, and he does not commit any sins. And a non-believer who has got one good deed, as you said, but he commits all the sins as well. Like,
Not all the sins.
like
Some sins.
Some sins.
Yeah.
So, is he not going to be punished for those sins? Or
No, he might be punished for those sins. Unless that good action is so strong that can undershadow those bad things. Allah may forgive him.
it similarly goes to the believer as well. If he does that deed, then he
Yes.
will get punishment.
Yes, sometimes bad deeds can undershadow. Ayatollah Mutahari then mentions some hadith in addition to the case of Hatam Ta'i. You know Hatam Ta'i, yeah? Who was mushrik from the tribe of Tai, but was very generous. And he says in some hadith it has been mentioned that mushrikeen, polytheists, like Hatam Ta'i, they will not be punished or their punishment will be reduced. then he mentioned some other hadith. For example, one hadith, Allama Majlisi narrates from Sheikh Saduq in Thawab al-A'mal from Ali ibn Yaqtin from Imam Kadhim alayhi salam. It says, among Bani Israel, there was a believer whose neighbor was kafir. That kafir was always kind to this neighbor who was a believer. When he died, God made a house from clay which would protect him from fire, and also gave him food from outside. And he was told that this is because of your kindness to your believing neighbor. This is the same thing that we said. He would not be punished, he would be safe because of some good quality or good action. Then he says, Allama Majlisi, after mentioning this hadith, says that this hadith, and there are hadiths which are similar to this hadith, show that punishment of some people who are supposed to go to hell would be removed because of their good deeds. And he makes one point further, and he says those ayat of the Quran which suggest that the punishment of kuffar is not going to be reduced would be modified with takhsis with this hadith. It means their punishment will not be reduced unless they have a good action. Okay? Then he says there is a hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. There was a mu'min who was living in a country which was ruled by a tyrant, an unjust king. That tyrant, that unjust king, went to catch this mu'min, and this mu'min ran away and went to some non-Muslim countries. Where he finally landed was under the reign of a mushrik. But that mushrik gave him refuge and looked after him. Hospitality, refuge, asylum. When that mushrik died, then he heard this. By my glory and dignity, if there was any place in heaven for mushrik, I would have given you. Means if it was possible. But Allah says to the fire, don't harm him. So, this is another hadith. Even Imam alayhi salam said, every morning and evening, rizq will be brought for him. The person said from heaven, Imam said from where God knows. Rasul Akram, also the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is quoted as saying about Abdullah ibn Jad'an, who was one of the leaders of Quraysh, that his punishment in hell would be very light, very, little. People said, why? Why his punishment is very little? Rasulullah said, إِنَّهُ كَانَ يُطْعِمُ الطَّعَامِ, because he was feeding people. He's one of the Quraysh leaders. Yeah, but because he had this habit of feeding people. There is also a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I saw in heaven a man who had saved a dog from thirst. So maybe that person was a mu'min, but his main action was showing mercy to an animal. So good actions are not to be ignored or overlooked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter who does it, if it is really done with sincerity. But the value, it depends on who is doing it. How much is going to help him, how much light is going to give him, how much promotion, that's another issue. But definitely any good action, and we mean good action with good niyyah, is appreciated. Yes.
Two verses in Surah Al-Bayyinah, it says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ شَرُّ الْبَرِيَّةِ وَذَنْ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. And then it says, هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ and abada. They use abada for the people of paradise, but they did not use the word abada for the people of the hell. Here's the difference. So does that mean that at some time, maybe God knows what time, all the people from the hell, they will come out from the hell as well?
Many of them, of course, are not there permanently. There are some people who would be permanently there, like people who know the truth and they are sure about the truth and still they deny and reject and fight against the truth. Okay? لولا ما أقسمت من تعذيب جاحديك وإخلاد معانديك لجعلت النار كلها بردا سلام. Or someone who kills an innocent person, من قتل مؤمنا متعمدا فجزاؤه جهنم خالدا. So most of the people who end up being in hell, they might be released after some time. Only very, very vicious person may remain in hell. So this is the mainstream interpretation. But there are also some interpretations that says khulud here means long time, doesn't mean permanence. That's another interpretation. But normally ulama say khulud means permanence.
So in that case, where are we going to fit in abada, which is with the people of paradise?
So because anyone who goes to heaven will be forever. No one comes out of heaven. But those who go to hell, they can come out.
Even among the mushrikeen?
Some may remain there forever.
Is that also, Sheikh, maybe to emphasize that heaven is something which is going to continue forever?
Yes.
That's the reason why the word was used, abada. So Khalidina in Jahannam might be actually a khulud in its meaning.
It's for emphasis.
Yeah. But here, emphasis to tell them that paradise is something which is muqim. It's continuous easiness and yeah.
Yeah. Then Ayatollah Mutahari says something that is very important, similar to what we said, because we have some contemporary famous ulama. I mean, actually, one alim that clearly in his book says, without qasd qurba, there is no benefit. But maybe he also means the same, but the text suggests this. But Ayatollah Mutahari says, I read for you the Farsi, because that's a very important statement. He says, به نظر من اگر افرادی یافت شوند, in my opinion, if some people are found که نیکی به انسانهای دیگر, They do good thing to others. حتی نیکی به یک جاندار اعم از انسان یا حیوان را. Not only they show kindness to a human being, they show kindness to someone who has life, a human being or an animal. Because he says we have this statement, لكل كبد حراء أجر. Any liver which is thirsty, if you give water, has ajr. Even an animal thirsty, you give water, has ajr. So he says, if someone shows kindness to a human being or a human being, an animal, without expectation, بدون هیچ چشم انتظاری. So it's not that he does to take something from them or to be receiving something from anyone as a payment. حتی در عمق وجدان خود از آن جهت خدمت نکنند که چهره خود را در آینه وجود محرومین میبینند. Even the reason for showing kindness is not that they don't want to feel bad. You know, because sometimes you help people because you don't want to feel bad. No. Really genuine act of kindness. Okay? یعنی ترس از این که روزی چنین سرنوشتی داشته باشند عامل محرک آنها نباشد. The motivation is not that if I don't help, one day also I may be in need of help. I become mahroom, deprived. No such considerations. بلکه طوری انگیزه احسان و خدمت در آنها قوی باشد. They have such a strong motivation for kindness and serving that even if they know they are not going to gain anything from this, and even if they know that even one person is not aware and no one is thanking them, still they will do this good thing. He says, I believe these people in their heart, they have a light from God. And even if they deny God, they really believe in God. Okay? So, he says, باید گفت در عمق ضمیر این انسانها نوری از معرفت خداوند است. We should say deep in their soul there is a light of ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if they deny by their tongue, they believe in their heart. So he says, therefore, this is a very important statement. بعید نیست که این گونه کسان واقعا و عملا در زمره اهل کفر محشور نگردند. So it's possible that they will be resurrected not as kafir, not as an unbeliever.
It can go other way around as well for the Muslim.
Yes. Yes, it can be also. So some Muslims may be resurrected as non-believer. So this is very important that not only he wants to give a kind of acknowledgement to the good action of non-believers, he wants to say that even such non-believers can be resurrected as believers. But he says, Wallahu a'lam. God knows better. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.